Hello everyone and welcome back to the Left Bench Podcast, a show where we can't play sports so we talk about them instead. Oh my goodness gracious, the draft last night was so fantastic. I enjoyed watching it so much. It had way more surprises in it than I thought it would, especially going into that first round. I thought everything would kind of roll out in the normal way. But man, did things get crazy. So as promised, we're going to go through every single pick in the NFL draft, break things down, talk winners and losers, and we have our first ever special guest tuning in today, joining us for the podcast. So I hope you guys are enjoying these last couple of episodes. I hope you enjoyed the mock draft, and I hope you guys are ready for an awesome episode today. Make sure to leave a like, make sure to subscribe. If you're new here, don't forget to tell your friends, encourage others to come and watch the show so we can continue to build a community. And once again, if you want to join the show, go ahead and leave a comment down below and give me your Instagram. Follow me at the Left Bench Pod, and I'll DM you, and we will get started working together. But man, I'm just so excited. So let's start out by just going pick by pick through the NFL draft. And first and foremost, this draft was amazing. Coming into it, I was not expecting it to be as good as other drafts, simply because of the virtual aspect of it. This draft was the first ever draft completely conducted online, and it did great. According to ESPN, this round one broke the viewership record with 15.6 million total viewers, which is the most ever for the NFL draft and a 37% increase from last year. Now, a lot of that's probably just the fact that all the people who normally go to the draft are now watching online. But besides that, it's still an amazing increase, and it's still a lot of people watching the draft. So it's really cool that they had that kind of support. It was definitely an interesting format, but one that I enjoyed nonetheless. So let's get into the picks a little bit. I'm very proud of the fact that when it came to my mock draft, I did not get the order right at all. But that's not what I'm proud of. The thing that I'm proud of is that out of those 20 picks, 17 out of the 20 people that I mentioned were actually picked within the top 20. So for the most part, I got the people right, just not exactly the order. So that's pretty cool, but let's go ahead and break this down a little bit further. So opening up the NFL draft, we had the Cincinnati Bengals taking Joe Burrow. Called this one. I think everybody did. It's not really that big of an accomplishment. He's going to be great. For a grade, I'd probably give them an A, just a solid A. Not really an A+, it's kind of expected. I think he still has some downside. He really only had one good year in college, so we'll see how that ends up playing out, but this was expected. Chase Young, edge rusher, Ohio State, another A. This is a solid pick, fantastic. It's an A because they didn't really get a lot of value out of it. I do think the Redskins could have used this pick to maybe trade back and get something of a little bit more use to them, but Chase Young is the best player in the draft, so he definitely gets an A. Value-wise, doesn't really get that A+. That's what the plus is reserved for, is a really good player and a really good value pick, and we'll see that down the line, definitely. Moving into number 3, we have the Lions taking Jeff Okudah, cornerback from Ohio State. I called this one too, everyone did, and this one will probably be a B for me, a B to a B+ range. Simply because of the fact that the Lions could have traded this pick and probably got a lot more out of it and got a lot more pieces that they can really use. Because the Lions kind of have a team right now where they're missing a lot and don't really have a lot of strengths on that team. Besides maybe their wide receivers, they don't really have a lot of really, really good players. So they need more talent. Jeff Okudah is the most talented cornerback in this draft by far. I had him going here anyways, so obviously I thought it was a good pick. But I just don't think they're getting that ton of value that they really want from this pick. But they improved their secondary, which is what they needed to do, so that's awesome. The first actual shocker of the draft, the Giants take Andrew Thomas, tackle from Georgia. And I don't like this pick, in all honesty. I don't think it's very good. I do not think that Andrew Thomas should be this high. If you remember specifically, I didn't have Andrew Thomas going until number 10 to the Browns. So I was expecting a couple of offensive tackles to go before him, but it is what it is. They got their guy. They're happy. So, that's awesome. I think Jedrick Wills would have been a better pick there, but I'll give this probably a B- to a B overall. I think they could have done a lot more with it, but I did get the position right there, so that's cool. So that was my first miss, and then the Dolphins, of course, draft Tua, A+. Good value. I think he should have been the number 1 quarterback in this draft if it wasn't for injury concern. I really love Tua. I think he's going to be a great quarterback for them, and we'll see how they develop. And now the Chargers at number 6, they take Justin Herbert just as predicted. I knew they'd mess it up. I knew it. I apologize for trashing him so much in the last one, but with this pick, they honestly deserve it. I don't think Justin Herbert's going to be a good fit for the Chargers. If he is, great. I was wrong. I'll take it, but I don't know. I just don't see him working out. He lacks a lot of essential skills that quarterbacks have. He has the talent and he has the pure upside, but he also has a lot of downside. So we'll see how he ends up playing out in the NFL. We'll see if he's a good starter. The question really becomes for the Chargers, are they going to start him day one, or are they going to sit him behind Tyrod Taylor? I honestly think don't really think Tyrod Taylor is that good of a mentor. I mean, Tyrod Taylor's basically been a career backup. He hasn't really done a lot in the NFL. The 2 franchises he has actually started for aren't really that great. The Bills being the most recent one besides the Chargers. So, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what ends up happening there. I hope Justin Herbert sits behind him for a year because he's not ready to start. I can tell you that much. He really needs a lot more development. So for Justin Herbert, I'll give him a B-. He's a good pick, good quarterback. We'll see how he develops. A lot of upside, but a lot of downside too. Moving into pick number 7, this really, to me, is where the draft kind of went off the rails, and everyone who had a mock draft just kind of lost it from here on out, because the Panthers selected Derek Brown, defensive tackle from Auburn. They passed on Isaiah Simmons, and looking back, I mean, this does make sense. I mean, they traded their 2 D linemen to the Cowboys in free agency. They don't really have a good interior anymore, so they needed someone to iron it out. But Isaiah Simmons is a generational talent. I think he's probably top 4 overall in this draft class. I think he's going to be amazing, but the Panthers passed on him. I don't really know why. Derek Brown, I had him going 14 to the Bucks. In retrospect, he never was going to go to the Bucks. He was not going to fall that far, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this one, to be honest. They definitely missed. I'd say it was a whiff. So I'd give this grade probably a C at best. They got a good player, but they missed out on a really great talent. Moving into number 8, this is one of my top 5 picks of the draft. We'll get into this a little bit later, but the Cardinals taking Isaiah Simmons is fantastic. I had them taking Tristan Wirfs. They needed offensive line help. But when Isaiah Simmons falls to you in the draft, and your number 1 weakest position as the Cardinals was defending against tight ends last year, and Isaiah Simmons can play anywhere on the field, of course you take him. This is a great pick. This is an A+. Great value, great opportunity, great player. This is a generational talent in Isaiah Simmons. I'm excited to see him develop, and I really want to see where he goes. I genuinely believe that Isaiah Simmons could be better than Jeff Okudah. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Moving on to number 9. I had the Jaguars taking Jerry Jeudy, wide receiver, out of Alabama. But those little snakes decided to take the player who I wanted for the Cowboys, and they take C.J. Henderson. And the worst part is, it's a total reach. It's a total reach. But it is a good cornerback. It's a position that they really need. They lost Jalen Ramsey. They lost A.J. Bouye. So they really did need a corner. So C.J. Henderson is a good pick. He's a great player, but it is a bit of a reach. So this one's a little tough for me. I'll give it a B. Good player. Kind of a reach, but I like it. But dang it, Jaguars. Why'd you have to take him from the Cowboys? I wanted him. I knew the Cowboys weren't going to take him, but I really wanted him. Bummer. Anyways, it is what it is. B. Moving on to the Browns. The Browns honestly got another steal here, taking Jedrick Wills. Wow, I had him going as the number 1 offensive tackle in the draft, and the Browns get him at 10. And I'm sure the Cleveland Browns are very happy about this pick. Fantastic. I give it an A for overall value and overall player. Moving on to number 11, we have the Jets. And I got this one right. The Jets took Mekhi Becton, offensive tackle from Louisville. And I like this pick. I liked it from the start. When I first had the Browns taking Andrew Thomas, in my mock draft, I said it was a reach and they should have taken Mekhi Becton. This was, of course, assuming that Jedrick Wills was long gone in the draft. But Mekhi Becton's perfect for the Jets. He's an amazing player. If you watched him at the NFL Combine run the 40-yard dash in just over 5 seconds when he's 350 pounds, then you were just as amazed as I was. This guy is going to be a fantastic run blocker for Le'Veon Bell. He doesn't really have as good of pass blocking skills, but that's okay because the Jets have no wide receivers, so they're not passing to anyone anyways. They're going to be doing mostly running with Le'Veon Bell, and this guy can book it upfield. I mean, you've seen videos where offensive linemen kind of get out front and lead the running back all the way to the end zone. I feel like that's what Mekhi Becton's going to be. A lot of the times he's moving up the field with Le'Veon Bell running behind him, and this guy pancakes everyone. He's huge. He's a big boy. So I'm excited to see how he plays out for the Jets. I'm giving this one an A. Not really enough value to give it an A+, but a really good pick. I like it a lot. Moving in to number 12, the Raiders. Man, I knew they were going to take a wide receiver too. I just missed on who it was going to be. I picked CeeDee Lamb here, who I had ranked as either number 1 or number 2 wide receiver, either him or Jerry Jeudy. I thought he was a little bit better than Jerry Jeudy, but I still thought Jeudy was going to go first. But the Raiders didn't take him. They took Henry Ruggs III. Why? I can't tell you, honestly. My only assumption here is that the Raiders wanted a speedy guy, but really that doesn't work in the NFL. People always point to Tyreek Hill, and they say, look, speedy guy, runs fast, he's good, we want someone like him. That's one example, though. If you look at other speedy wide receivers in the NFL, they're not really that great. Tavon Austin, when he got drafted, who's now not even on the Cowboys anymore, he's not really on any team right now, didn't get picked up in free agency, he was the exact type of guy that Henry Ruggs is. People looked at him and they said, whoa, he is fast. He's going to burn everyone. You saw him in college. He's just torched everyone. He's a great player, generational talent. Sign him on your teams, put him on your offenses. He's perfect and amazing, and I love him, and woo! I don't think Henry Ruggs is going to pan out, in all honesty. I had him going next to the 49ers, and the reason why he would be good for the 49ers is because they already have another speedy wide receiver in Deebo Samuel, but he actually has pretty good hands too, so they'd kind of be a good 1-2 punch combo, but they're picking Henry Ruggs as a number 1 receiver on the Raiders, and I just don't think he fits the bill. I think CeeDee Lamb would have been better here. So overall, I'll give this pick a B-, C+, around there. They really reached on him. Not that good. Yeah, anyways, I just don't know. Here we have our first trade of the draft. The Buccaneers move up with the 49ers, and they take Tristan Wirfs, offensive tackle from Iowa. This is a great pick. Tons of value. I had him going 8, and I honestly think he's one of the better offensive tackles in this draft. I don't think he's as good as Mekhi Becton. I would definitely rank him above Andrew Thomas and not above Jedrick Wills, so he's probably the 3rd best overall. But I think he's good. I think it's a good pick. I think it definitely had a lot of value, so I'll give it an A. Moving on to the 49ers, I had them taking Henry Ruggs, but they didn't go with him. Instead, they went with Javon Kinlaw at D-line, who I had going at number 20. So I definitely missed on this one by far. I really thought the Niners were going to go wide receiver. They have a need there. Someone like CeeDee Lamb would have been amazing on the Niners because they need that dominant receiver. The person they have right now, Deebo Samuel, as their number 1, is not great. They lost Emmanuel Sanders in free agency. They don't really have a lot of good wide receivers anymore. They lost Dante Pettis. They have nothing, pretty much, when it comes to the passing game, which is okay since Jimmy G throws the ball about twice a game anyways, and when he does, it's not even that accurate and overthrows most of his receivers. But instead, they decided to go with D-line, and it makes sense because they got this pick from the Colts in the first place. They traded a D-lineman to get it, DeForest Buckner, who's a great talent for them. They basically got Javon Kinlaw, who's very similar to DeForest Buckner in a lot of ways. It's kind of like the great value version of DeForest Buckner, something you'd find at Walmart instead of Costco. So, I don't know. I'll take it. I think it's probably about a B at best. Pretty good value. A little bit of a reach, I'd say, but he's a good player. Moving on to number 15, the Denver Broncos. Now, I had them taking Justin Jefferson here, and I got it right that they were taking a wide receiver. What I didn't get right is that the 2 best wide receivers in the draft, both Jerry Jeudy and CeeDee Lamb, would still be on the board. So, yeah, they ended up going with Jerry Jeudy, and I love it. I love this pick. I'm just imagining the Denver Broncos with Drew Lock throwing to Jerry Jeudy and Courtland Sutton, and oh, it's amazing. A+. Great pick. Great pick. Actually, the only problem that I really see here is that I do think CeeDee Lamb would have been better, but Jerry Jeudy still fits their scheme. So yeah, I'll give it an A+. I'll keep it. You're welcome, Broncos. You deserve it. Hope you actually do something this year because you haven't done anything since Peyton Manning left. Moving on to pick number 16, we have the Falcons. They picked A.J. Terrell, and when they picked this, I was mad. I was like, that was the cornerback I wanted. So the Cowboys end up without a cornerback. The Falcons took him. I mean, I guess it's a good pick. Still kind of a reach. It's a little early to take a CB, but I think they could have done well with a safety. I think they also could have done well with edge rushers. But I don't know. They settled on this one. So we'll see. We'll see if it ends up panning out for them. I do like the pick, so overall I'd probably give it a B overall. Again, a little bit of a reach, so that probably drops it from a B to a B and a minus, so I'd keep it there. B- for the Falcons. Moving on. The Cowboys at number 17. I didn't really realize that CeeDee Lamb was this low until the draft, until right when they started announcing the Cowboys pick. And I thought about it, and I was like, oh my goodness, we could have 3 amazing wide receivers, plus Ezekiel Elliott, plus Dak Prescott, plus a great offensive line, plus Tony Pollard, who's a rookie, but still does pretty well. He did great last year. I think he'll do great this year. All in one offense, but at the same time, we'll have no defense. And then I was looking at our options, and I was like, well, it's either CeeDee Lamb or Kayvon Chaisson. And I don't want Kayvon Chaisson. If you remember my last episode, I was like, the Cowboys are going to draft him. Don't really want him, but I feel like it's what's going to end up happening. But they didn't. They went with CeeDee Lamb. And I love it. Oh, I love it so much. Best offense in the NFL. I'm telling you that right now. I'm not going to be one of those Cowboys fans like, oh, we're going to the Super Bowl, because I don't think we are. I think we definitely need some defense. But here's what makes me excited, is that the other people we were looking at, the safeties, Grant Delpit, as well as Xavier McKinney, didn't go in the first round, which means we could actually get away with drafting CeeDee Lamb and then still picking up one of the guys we wanted. What I'm hoping is that in the second or third round, we get Trayvon Diggs, put together that secondary, make it a lot better. But, ooh, this offense is scary. You should be terrified, anyone who's going to be playing against the Cowboys offense. Because, hey, we may not be able to stop you from putting up 45, but it doesn't matter if we put up 70. So, that's that. I'll stop getting all excited about my Cowboys. A+. I kind of think it's the best pick in the draft, but I'm a little biased, so don't get mad at me. Moving on to pick number 18, the Dolphins. I had them taking Xavier McKinney here because I think they need a safety, but instead they went with tackle Austin Jackson. This is a total reach. I give it a B-. Yeah, not great. He's a good player, but this is way too high. I think Josh Jones would have been better. There's still a lot of good offensive tackles on the board, so it is what it is. Moving on to pick number 19, the Raiders select Damon Arnett. I got that they were taking a cornerback, right? But not Christian Fulton. This is another reach. I give this one a C. This is not the best cornerback on the board, especially because he's probably going to end up playing in the slot, so he's not really going to be that helpful for the Raiders. I think that Christian Fulton would have been better from LSU, but that's the pick they chose. Yeah, not very good. Number 20, I had Javon Kinlaw going to the Jags, but instead they end up taking Kayvon Chaisson. Even better, putting together that Saxonville defense. I think he's going to be great for them. And what's kind of funny is that the two players that I thought the Cowboys would be looking at, being CJ Henderson and Kayvon Chaisson, both went to the Jaguars. And those are two pretty solid players, so they're making that rebuild pretty good. 21 and 22, the Eagles take Jalen Reagor, and the Vikings take Justin Jefferson. Honestly, I don't really know what the Eagles were doing here. It was kind of dumb of them. I think they should have switched those picks. They definitely should have taken Justin Jefferson, but they didn't. So, don't ask me why. The Vikings with Justin Jefferson, great pick. The Eagles really missed with Jalen Reagor. I don't know. I don't think it's very good. He's been playing from Texas Christian, so I mean, he hasn't really played a lot of good teams. So, you don't really know how good he is. Because, yeah, he's burning corners, but he's burning, like, corners that are never going to the NFL. So how's he going to do against Jalen Ramsey? How's he going to do against even some of the Cowboys corners who aren't that great? I don't know. I don't see it working out. But moving on to number 23, the Chargers trade up with the New England Patriots to select Kenneth Murray. This is a good pick. I give it a solid A. Really like it. A lot of value. Good linebacker. I like it. Pick number 24, the Saints select center Cesar Ruiz. Great pick. Number 25, the 49ers select Brandon Ayuk. 26, Jordan Love. That sucks. That really sucks. Wow. Yeah, we'll talk about that one a little bit later. 27, we have the Seahawks, Jordan Brooks, out of nowhere. I don't know who this guy is, honestly. I didn't even have him on my radar. Patrick Queen at 28. Love this pick. Love it, love it, love it. Probably my favorite moving up from 20. Probably the best pick out of all of them. 29, 30, 31. You've got a tackle, cornerback, another cornerback, and running back with the Chiefs. I don't know why, but they did. Yeah. And that's the first round. That's everyone who got taken. And yeah, I mean, a lot of good picks. And if you haven't noticed yet, this episode is already running long. Really, really long. And we still have a guest on the show, and we're still going to do my top 5 winners and losers. So this is going to be a long episode. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this one. We're going to put some more time into it. Let's talk winners, and let's unfortunately talk losers. Now, starting off with the winners, we'll go top 5. At number 5, I have the Broncos taking Jerry Jeudy. Great pick. It's a steal. I'm telling you, it's a real steal. I had no idea that he was going to be at that spot in the draft, and the Broncos really capitalized on it. The only reason why they're this low is because CeeDee Lamb would have been better. That's pretty much it. But again, for their scheme, it works. And the other reason is just because they were at 15, so they already had a lot of value in this pick. So yeah, really solid. I think it's going to work for them. Moving into number 4, we have actually the Jaguars, who got 2 really good players who probably not at the best spots. I think what could have been better for the Jaguars, which would have been really smart, that would have moved them to number 1 instantly, is if they traded the number 9 pick, moved back a little bit further, maybe with the Bucks, and still got CJ Henderson. It would have blown my mind. They could have got an extra pick out of it. But the 2 players they got are great. They got 2 of the really, really solid defensive players in this draft, and so I'm excited to see how that works out. I think it was a great move. At number 3, this is where things start to get a little bit tricky because we have a lot of good teams here. At number 3, I have the Cardinals. And the Cardinals had a really, really great pickup in Isaiah Simmons. One of my favorites by far. Really solid. I really liked it a lot. Like a lot. Number 2, It's the Miami Dolphins. Now, they didn't really capitalize on their last 2 picks as much as I wanted them to, but the reason why they're here is because they had 3 picks. That's really it. They had 3 picks. They got Tua. They got him where they wanted him. They didn't have to trade up, which is great. And they got a good offensive tackle. Probably not the best offensive tackle they could have gotten, but still pretty good. And a cornerback. They got a lot of pieces that they really needed. They capitalized. That's really what counts. And number 1, roast me all you want. I get it, I'm a Cowboys fan. I literally have an Amari Cooper statue behind me. Yeah, I'm doing it. Cowboys, number 1. CeeDee Lamb dropping to number 17, and the Cowboys pick him up. Amazing, amazing pick. I love it so much. Every time I hear CeeDee Lamb's name now, I'm like in awe. This is such a great pick. They got him with great value. He's awesome. He's going to kill it. CeeDee Lamb, Dallas Cowboys. Wait and see. Now for our top 5 losers. At number 5, we have the Buccaneers. Now, the Buccaneers didn't really do anything wrong. They got a great tackle, but they traded a 4th rounder to get him, even though they would have been able to get him either way. They really didn't have to pass San Francisco at all, but they did. I don't know why. The 49ers were not going to take an alignment, so that's pretty much the only reason why they're here is because they sacrificed a pick for no reason whatsoever. And then at number 4, we have the Giants. The Giants just totally whiffed. They went with Andrew Jackson at number 4, Andrew Thomas at number 4 instead of Jedrick Wills, who would have been much better. I don't know why they did, but they chose to anyways. So, yeah, that's why they're here. The Giants could have done a lot better, but they chose not to. They even could have drafted Isaiah Simmons, who would have been great for them because they don't really have a good linebacker core yet. But they chose to get someone who would help with that O-line, and I just don't think it was the right call. Especially because Daniel Jones is a fumble machine. Like, he fumbles all the time. Anytime someone touches him, it's like he just wants to drop the ball on the floor. So they need the best offensive tackle possible. So they kind of settled here, and I don't know. Just not a fan. Moving in to the number 3 biggest loser. This is where things get a little bit tricky to separate for me because I think there are a couple of big losers. And so I'm going to go with the Raiders at number 3. Why on earth would they take the cornerback that they chose instead of Christian Fulton? Total reach. Total reach. They whiffed on that pick, and they chose Henry Ruggs instead of... They had their pick of any receiver in the draft, and they pick Henry Ruggs. I don't like it. I really don't. I think that's an L. That's a major, major L. This one makes me really happy. Really, really, really happy. We have the Eagles at number 2. They missed on Justin Jefferson and instead got Jalen Reagor. He played for Texas Christian, which is cool. I'm glad he went to a Christian school. It's really awesome. But for football, like, he should have went to a better school, played against better people, then we'd really know his talent. I don't think he's as talented. I honestly think, and this is going to be kind of messed up to say, so don't judge me too harshly for this, part of the reason why he's so high on many people's draft boards is because of who his dad is. Because his dad played in the NFL. He's getting a little bit more credit than he deserves. So, I don't like it. They missed on Justin Jefferson. Kind of a waste. If they would have just traded up, they would have got everything they wanted anyways, so... Dumb pick by the Eagles. Really missed on that one. And number 1, the biggest loser in the entire draft is none other than Jordan Love, the Green Bay Packers. And I could rant about this for hours, but we're not going to do that. Instead, we're going to have a special guest come on the show. So let's all welcome in the first ever guest to the Left Bench podcast, Ian Breyer. Ian, thanks for joining us on the show.
Hey, Dylan, it's awesome to be here.
Yeah, great. So, tell us about yourself. What is your favorite sports team of all?
So, my favorite sports team is the Green Bay Packers.
Of course it is.
I've loved them for, at least 10 years, and following them ever since, Rodgers got picked up, yeah.
Definitely. So, going into this draft as a Packers fan, when you looked at your team and you looked at the weaknesses and the strengths that you had, what would you say were probably the 2 biggest positions of need going into the 2020 draft?
Definitely wide receiver and inside linebacker.
Yeah, definitely.
And we had a lot of people getting released on the receivers.
Yeah. So you would argue that the wide receiver and the linebacker were probably the 2 biggest strengths this year's draft, correct?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So when you guys drafted Devontae Adams, when you first picked him up in the 2nd round, what did you guys think of him as a receiver?
I thought he was solid. I mean, 2nd round receivers, I'm like, okay, we have Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb. Yeah, Devontae Adams could definitely do fine, and obviously, he's come on great.
Yeah. So when you look at the draft left and the receivers that are left in the draft, do you think you're going to be able to find anywhere close to that left in wide receiver talent?
I mean, there's a couple guys out there. I mean, there's Devontae Mims. There's a couple of dudes out there.
Yeah, Denzel Mims does look pretty good from Baylor. So when it comes to the draft, what were you expecting specifically? What pick were you expecting to come from the 30th?
Well, from the 30th, I was hoping that Brandon Ayuk would fall to us, but that didn't happen.
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah. I mean, I was definitely expecting a wide receiver or inside linebacker.
Okay. So when the Packers first traded up, did you like the trade up at first, or did you think it was kind of a reach?
So this was my thought process. I just seen Brandon Ayuk, 49ers trade up from 31, pick up Brandon Ayuk, and I'm like, what are we doing? That was like the last, solid first-round receiver to get picked up, and I'm like, the Packers are blowing this draft. They should have seen this coming. They should have drafted up. We could have even gotten Justin Jefferson if we really wanted him. We could have gotten Brandon Ayuk, and we didn't. So I'm like, all right, hopefully we pick up like an inside linebacker, maybe an offensive tackle, something good at 30. But then we get the trade moving up. I'm like, okay, what might happen? I don't know what receivers they're looking for. Maybe it's they really want an inside linebacker and an offensive tackle. So, those were my thoughts. And then my friend, I was watching the draft with my friend, and he's like, well, what if they pick up Love? And I'm like, I will throw something through the TV if they draft Love.
Yeah, definitely. Man, so when Jordan Love first got drafted, a lot of people in comparisons were comparing him to Patrick Mahomes with his arm. Do you think he has anywhere near that amount of upside, or do you think he's going to be more of a disappointment?
I mean, I've heard of everyone calling me like basically a boom or bust. He's either going to be like Patrick Mahomes or he's going to be a bust.
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to Aaron Rodgers' contract, he still has 4 years left, obviously, and they have the 2-year option coming up recently. Do you think that Jordan Love is going to sit behind him for the whole 4 years, or do you think they're going to move off of Rodgers after 2?
I think it all depends on Jordan Love's development. And Aaron Rodgers' playing ability. If Aaron Rodgers continues to play like he's been playing for the next 4 years, Jordan Love's going to sit behind there. If, however, Aaron Rodgers starts to tail off, and Jordan Love is starting to look like Aaron Rodgers did when he took over for Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers is getting kicked out of there.
Yeah. A lot of people have been comparing this specific draft pick to when Aaron Rodgers was drafted under Brett Favre, just like you just did. Do you think that this is going to be the same kind of situation in terms of the way that Aaron Rodgers handles things, or do you think it's kind of going to be more of an issue just like Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers in terms of the way Aaron Rodgers reacts?
I think Aaron Rodgers is smart enough to handle it better than Brett Favre did. Will he like it on the inside? No, he absolutely hates this pick. However, I do think Aaron Rodgers will handle this with more grace than both Mike McCarthy and with Brett Favre, and Brett Favre did to him.
Yeah. So with this pick, obviously, it doesn't really help the Packers in any way, as many people were expecting their first-round pick to help them. Do you think at all next year they're going to be able to make it back to the NFC Championship, or do you think this is really going to hurt them in the long run?
All right, so the thing about the Packers last year was their 13-3 was quite a fluke. I am amazed. They're probably one of the weakest teams to ever make it to an NFC Championship game, and I'm proud of them. I mean, that's great coaching, that's great playing by making the most out of nothing. I mean, there's a little bit of luck that went along there, but I'm happy with what they did. But as you saw in the NFC Championship game, they got crushed by the 49ers.
Absolutely.
And what's worse is that the 49ers got even better this year. They released some defense. They traded DeForest Buckner, re-signed Arik Armstead, and got another defensive tackle to replace DeForest Buckner. Then they traded up to get another great wide receiver. They're getting better, and the Packers on day one haven't done anything to make up for that. I mean, they have maybe a better backup quarterback for Aaron Rodgers now, but nothing else.
Yeah. So how do you think the Packers could recover from this before next year? Do you see any offseason moves that could come in? Do you think any draft picks could really help them? Or do you think it's kind of a sailed ship at this point? They just have to figure it out.
Right. So they have the problem is they traded their 4th-round pick, and they didn't have any other. They have multiple 6th and 7th-round picks, but they only have a 2nd and a 3rd in the top 100, meaning that those 2 draft picks have to be like immediate starters. They have to hit every one of those draft picks to make up any kind of ground. And I just don't know. I just don't see them doing that. I think they pick up. I mean, chances are they pick up maybe 2 blue chip players. But the problem is the Packers are behind against so many NFC teams in talent that it's very hard for them to make that up. The other problem is that lack of talent is going to hurt them in any kind of off-season moves that they can make. You see the 49ers being able to wheel and deal players because they have so many players at positions, they can afford to lose one or two of them. The Packers don't have that. After Aaron Jones, they have no one. After Devontae Adams, they have no receivers. They don't have any tight ends. They only have their starters. After their starters, they really have no one else to back that up. So they can't really make any kind of wheeling and dealing moves after the draft.
Yeah, definitely. So if you're going to predict the Packers' record for next season, where would you put it at? Or in approximation of like 2 to 3 wins?
Okay, so again, it depends on the draft isn't over. They could still nail some picks. I think that they take a step back. Well, here's the thing. It's NFC North. It's going to be between them and the Vikings. I think that with the Vikings move, I think the Vikings can take over that position. I think the Packers make it to the playoffs as a wild card team. I would say around 10-6.
10-6. All right. Obviously, the Packers are probably going to take a step back, but when you look at this decision and you compare Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love, there's a lot to be desired when it comes to their strengths and weaknesses. Now, Rodgers' greatest strength is probably just his interception ability or his ability to not throw interceptions, whereas Jordan Love has the complete opposite problem. So how do you think Aaron Rodgers is going to help Jordan Love to develop?
So I think one of Aaron Rodgers' best strengths, as you said, is decision-making. He doesn't throw interceptions. Jordan Love's probably his worst knock is that he throws a ton of interceptions. His decision-making isn't good. On a mental level, Aaron Rodgers can definitely help with that. On a mechanics level, Aaron Rodgers has got that as well. I mean, basically, Jordan Love is learning from one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. So I definitely think Jordan Love is going to learn not to make mental errors.
So like you said, I completely agree. Rodgers definitely is one of the top quarterbacks in the league. So that really begs the question, with Jordan Love sitting under Aaron Rodgers and the Packers kind of focusing more on building towards the future, how is this going to affect Aaron Rodgers' last couple of years in the NFL? Do you think that the Packers will maximize his potential, or are they really missing an opportunity here?
Well, as you already said, I mean, it's already been proven. They're basically wasting his potential. And they've always wasted his potential. I mean, other than his receiving core back in 2012, 2014, they really haven't done their best to help Aaron Rodgers. Look at, the Dom Capper's defense in the past 4 or 5 years. Terrible. Like, the Packers lost several playoff games because the defense couldn't stop anyone. Look at the Falcons' NFC Championship game, where their lack of defensive backs allowed Julio Jones to go off on them. Like, then we also have the lack of weapons, as you saw this past year, where, the Packers only have one good receiver, one good running back, and Aaron Rodgers. After that, they really need a lot of help to catch up with the other NFC Championship teams. The problem is they're wasting Aaron Rodgers' talent, and they have always done so. I mean, I really believe that Aaron Rodgers will go down as one of the biggest wasted talents in the century. A quarterback like Aaron Rodgers doesn't come around that often, and to only get him one Super Bowl ring is really shines poor light on the organization. And as you can see, they're still they're moving on from that, and they're really not building for Aaron Rodgers. They're looking towards the future.
Yeah. So if you had the chance, if you were the GM of the Packers and you had the chance to go back in the draft, what move would you have made instead of drafting Jordan Love? Would you have moved up and went for a different position, stayed where you were? What would be your take?
So I think it depends on what I was looking for. If I was looking for a receiver, I'm definitely going to have to trade up. I mean, I might have to sacrifice. Maybe that 4th rounder might get me up into to select Brandon Ayuk above the 49ers. I think the Packers actually tried making a play for Brandon Ayuk. If you look at what the 49ers had to pay, they paid 2 or 3 more picks than the Packers did to move up one spot behind them. So I do think that the Packers might have had to sacrifice more to get that receiver. But I mean, if they believed in that receiver doing well, they should have done it. Otherwise, if they don't believe in any of the receivers, they don't want to pay the price, then I would have stayed put and maybe picked whatever inside linebacker or offensive tackle. Now, you saw the Ravens pick up a great inside linebacker just a couple selections earlier. Maybe you give up the 5th round pick to move up right ahead of the Ravens on that.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good point. Well, awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Ian. Really appreciate your time. Thanks for your insight about the Packers. Hopefully you guys don't end up going anything less than 10-6, because then you're going to have some hate for your GM.
Oh, yeah. All right. Thanks so much for having me. I had a great time.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Well, thank you everyone for tuning into this episode of the Left Bench Podcast. I have really, really loved doing this. It's been so much fun, and I can't wait to continue doing it. So I hope you all will join me for the ride. I hope you guys enjoyed having a special guest on the episode. It was a really good time. Hopefully the audio is okay. Make sure to comment down below what I can do to improve that. But I really hope you guys are enjoying these episodes as much as I have. But anyways, we may not be starters, but at least we can play left bench. Bye.